Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're tackling a situation that can make any sysadmin's blood run cold. A compromised machine on your network. We've all been there, right? That sinking feeling when you realize something's gone wrong. But don't worry, we're going to walk through the steps to not only secure that machine, but also make sure you're in a better position to prevent it from happening again. Remember, this is all about ethical security practices for network admins and security pros. We're talking forensics, recovery, and making sure you're covered. Alright, first things first. We need to figure out what we're dealing with. Think of it like this. Your network is a house and someone just broke in. Before you can fix anything, you need to know how they got in and what they touched. We're talking about using your security tools to do some detective work. What are the telltale signs? Maybe it's unusual network traffic, unauthorized login attempts, or files that just shouldn't be there. This is where those fancy intrusion detection systems you hopefully have set up come in handy. And while you're at it, let's look for those vulnerabilities, those digital cracks in your wall that let the bad guys in. Was it an unpatched system, a weak password that should have been changed ages ago? Or maybe someone clicked on a phishing link in an email? Knowing the how is just as important as the what when it comes to securing your network. Okay, so we've identified the weak points, the vulnerabilities that let the attackers in. Now it's time to patch them up, to reinforce those digital walls. Think of it like this. If your front door was kicked in, you wouldn't just leave it wide open, right? You'd fix it, make it stronger. Same goes for your network. First and foremost, we're talking about updates, and lots of them. Operating systems, software, firmware, you name it. If it can be updated, update it. Those patches often contain crucial security fixes that can prevent this whole mess from happening again. And while we're at it, let's have a serious chat about passwords. Weak passwords are like leaving a key under the mat, an open invitation for trouble. Make sure everyone on your network is using strong, unique passwords. And if you haven't already, implement multi-factor authentication. It's an extra layer of security that can make all the difference. Finally, don't forget about your firewall rules. These are like the security guards of your network, controlling what comes in and what goes out. Make sure they're up to date and configured to block any suspicious activity. We've patched the holes, but our work isn't done yet. Now it's time to set up some security cameras and motion sensors, digitally speaking, of course. We need to monitor and log everything that's happening on our network, so we can spot any suspicious activity before it turns into a full-blown breach. This is where robust logging systems come in. Think of them as your network security footage, recording every login attempt, every file access, every single action that takes place. And just like with security footage, you need to be able to actually review it. Set up alerts for any unusual activity, like login attempts from strange locations or data being accessed at odd hours. This is where those intrusion detection and prevention systems, IDPS, really earn their keep. They're like your digital guard dogs, constantly sniffing around for anything that seems out of place. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more you know about what's happening on your network, the better equipped you'll be to defend it. Okay, imagine this. You found a raccoon rummaging through your pantry. You wouldn't just let it wander around the house, would you? No way. You'd isolate it, contain the problem. Same goes for a compromised machine. We need to cut it off from the rest of the network, prevent it from potentially infecting other systems, or allowing the attackers to move laterally within your environment. Think of it like this. Your network is a body, and that compromised machine is an infected limb. We need to stop the infection from spreading. Disconnecting the machine from the network is often the quickest and most effective way to do this. Now, if you need to do a full forensic investigation, you'll want to preserve the machine's state as much as possible. Don't go rebooting or shutting it down, as that could destroy valuable evidence. There are tools and techniques for creating forensic images of the system, which allow you to analyze what happened without risking further damage. This is like taking a snapshot of the crime scene, preserving all the evidence for later analysis. Alright, let's talk about prevention. We've patched, we've monitored, we've isolated, but what if we could stop these attacks before they even happen? That's where endpoint detection and response, EDR, comes in. Think of EDR like having a security guard posted at every single door and window of your house, constantly on the lookout for anything suspicious. These tools are installed on all of your endpoints, laptops, desktops, servers, and they're constantly monitoring for any malicious activity. But EDR is more than just detection, it's also about response. If an attack is detected, EDR can automatically take action to contain the threat. This could mean isolating the affected machine, killing malicious processes, or even rolling back to a previous state before the attack occurred. It's like having an automated security system that not only sounds the alarm, but also takes action to neutralize the threat. Implementing EDR is one of the best ways to proactively protect your network from future attacks. Chapter 6. Backups, your digital safety net. Okay, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, backups. I know backups aren't the most glamorous part of cybersecurity, but trust me, they are absolutely essential. Think of backups like having insurance for your data. If something goes wrong, a cyber attack, a hardware failure, even a user accidentally deleting something important, you'll be able to recover quickly and minimize the damage. But here's the thing, backups are only as good as your ability to restore them. You need to regularly test your backups to make sure they're working properly and that you can actually recover your data in a timely manner. And when it comes to a compromised machine, you need to be absolutely certain that your backups haven't also been compromised. If the attackers had access to your network, there's a chance they could have tampered with your backups as well. In some cases, it might be necessary to restore your system from a known clean backup, even if it means losing some data. It's better to be safe than sorry. Chapter 7. Don't be afraid to call for backup consulting security professionals. Alright, we've covered a lot of ground, but sometimes, even with the best intentions, you might need to call in the cavalry. If you're dealing with a particularly complex or sophisticated attack, it's always a good idea to consult with cybersecurity experts. Think of it like this, if you had a serious plumbing problem, you wouldn't hesitate to call a plumber, right? Well, cybersecurity is no different. These professionals have the experience and expertise to handle even the most challenging security incidents. They can help you with everything from forensic analysis to malware removal to incident response planning. And let's be honest, sometimes it's just good to have an extra set of eyes on the problem. They might spot something you missed or have insights that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. Remember, there's no shame in asking for help, especially when it comes to something as important as your network security. Chapter 8. Level up your security implementing strong access controls. Alright, we've reached the final stage of our journey, and it's time to talk about long-term security improvements. We've patched the holes, we've set up monitoring, but now it's time to make sure this doesn't happen again. One of the most effective ways to do that is by implementing strong access controls. Think of it like this, we're installing high-security locks on all of our doors and windows, making it much harder for anyone to get in without permission. We've already talked about strong passwords and multi-factor authentication, but there's more we can do. Implement the principle of least privilege, which means only giving users access to the information and resources they absolutely need to do their jobs. No more, no less. Regularly review user permissions and revoke access for anyone who no longer needs it. Segment your network, so that even if one part is compromised, the attackers can't easily move laterally to other parts of your environment. And finally, don't forget about physical security. It might sound old school, but making sure your servers are physically secure can go a long way in preventing unauthorized access. Outro, stay safe out there. So there you have it, our whirlwind tour of securing a compromised network machine. Remember, this is just a starting point. Cybersecurity is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. You need to be constantly vigilant, always looking for ways to improve your security posture. Stay up to date on the latest threats, implement best practices, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. And most importantly, remember that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. Educate your users, promote a culture of security awareness, and work together to create a safer digital environment. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more informative content.